Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. Well, son of a gun. Today was, it's been a kind of a busy day, at least in the morning time. I got to bed late, not that I got to bed late, fell asleep late, and then I woke up early. My legs were not ready to cramp, but they were getting ready too. When it's really starting, I can feel the little fibers going like this, just little twitches, bits and pieces of them. And as long as they're just little bits like this, I'm okay. It's when they start going like this in groups, it's like, I gotta get out of bed now or I'm in trouble. I know the feeling before that, and it was getting to that state. So I've been out of bed since about 6 o'clock. Went out walking very early. By the time I got to the stream and down through the stream, it was after 9 o'clock, and I stopped in at the library to hit the restroom. But oh boy, there are a lot of spiders, especially in the woods. Now, I've talked about this before, where there's webs everywhere. The world is coated in spider webs. They're everywhere, especially when you go out into the woods. I have been arachnophobic most of my life. Only the past couple of years I have stopped being terrified of spiders. Now, I still have a fear of some creepy crawlies, and if I'm startled by the sudden appearance of like a spider or even a moth, I'm gonna blah and freak out about it. But when I'm out looking and such like that on the path, I am looking at some amazing spiders. There are a lot of the webs out there. On the spiders, it's a really bizarre canopy. And it's a real canopy. It's like a bowl. And the spider is hanging up on the inside of the bowl. The bottom of it is open, and it's just a bowl of webbing all the way around with a little pouch up at the top the spider is in, just hanging upside down. I got to see, as I was just looking at this one little spider, it jumped at something while I was standing there watching, and it was like, oh, they move fast. But while she was out leaping, you could see the little chelicerae, which are they have the fangs on them, but they're not fangs. At the end of them can be fangs, not always fangs. But they're the chelicerae. They open up. Their actual mouth is just a little short tube. That these are the fang parts. And then, of course, they have their mouth hands, and it's pretty scary looking altogether. But oh, I could see these little glinting things right there at the front of her face. And she was just a little tiny thing like this. But you could see these little shiny spots of her chelicerae as she leaped. But then, because there was nothing there, she did a little bit of maintenance. There was just forest junk and, tiny insect corpses. And while I was watching, she went over to one of them, did a bunch of stuff with the legs, and then it went ka-dum and fell. And then she went over to another one, bunch of stuff with her legs, and ka-dum, it just fell right out. So she did a little bit of maintenance while she was out. It was really cool. I like looking at these spiders, and oh boy, some of these branches that are right by the edge of the trail, they'll have like 3, 4, 5 of these webs with spiders dangling in them. I've talked before, mentioned anyway, how I find marine life, and not the actual marine life, the creatures, but living in a marine environment to be terrifying. And it is. In a 3-dimensional environment like this, I have seen, like they live in, I have seen so many videos of there'll just be a fish, doing what it has to do, and then suddenly something that didn't look like a fish just whoop, and it's gone. And watch so many other videos where they pull up a fish, and it's like, oh, look at this. They open it up, and out comes another fish, and it's flopping around, where they just get swallowed whole and digested alive. It's terrifying. But land life ain't much better. I mean, we're megafauna. We don't have to worry about much right now. We have stomped on and dominated the planet. But all those webs out there in the woods, it is just as dangerous out in this part of the world. Because when I was walking through that forest, every 10 feet, I was having to brush my arms and then brush my hands like this, because I was getting coated in spider webs. Ambush predator webbing is everywhere. On the one hand, I don't mind. And it's just simple. You go like this and it's off. It can also be annoying. I have had a web go through just the right angle where it was not only at eye level, it went between my eyelids and my eyelashes and then glonk up against both surfaces of my eyes. And then when you feel the web go across your eyes, then punk, weep, it's a weird feeling. But yeah, ended up coated in them. Which, on the one hand, is annoying. But on the other hand, I can understand. I mean, they're looking for breakfast. And I'm coming through and wiping out all of their nets. Which, I'm just as annoying to them. But, after all, if they can catch me, I'm good eating. So I guess I'm not going to blame them too much for trying. Yay. But I've also got some other things written down. One of them is I don't really do accents on my channel the way I do in person. I mirror people's talk a lot, and so when I learn how to do an accent of a particular person, you can't learn how to do an accent of an area. You can only mimic a person that came from that area. So if you listen to a bunch of people, you can try and do some of these things. Don't listen for individual ways of individual words, how they're pronounced. Look for patterns and the rhythm. Now, you're going to have to do some things on your own. After all, there's these two Irish people that I watch. One person does movies. The other talks about, especially Warhammer 40K and what's going on in the world of minis. But you can tell that they're both rather Irish. And I don't know where it is in Ireland that they're from. But when they're talking, you know, it's, and now we're going to talk about how they talk. And so, yeah, you got to remember how some things are said. And then, of course, you got to remember how, you know, all of us actually do the things that we've said. So, thumbs up for that. Anyway, though, the one big thing I wanted to talk about and read is I have been working on now a solo RPG setting. It was a couple months back since starting here. I wanted to do just some solo RPG setting, make up a solo RPG thing, do RPG stuff for the channel, which I still want to do, but with this I've got problems. And then get it all done. But I wanted to make up a solo RPG setting that I would set all that in. And then I started really working on it, and then it became more fun to actually work on the world than it did to play in the world. And I started thinking about the characters that live in the world. I don't choose the things that I'm going to write about. Just as I'm not forcing my creativity upon my creations, because it just doesn't work. I have to get an idea, push it, and then follow my subconscious and see where it goes. If I try to shove it somewhere, it's just not going to work. I've been beating my head against that wall my whole life. So I've done that, and I don't really choose the stories that I want to tell. This is a story, the first story about the setting. It's a very short thing, and I use what my therapist calls narrative therapy, where you have a situation, you write about it. Like if you have a person who abandoned you, and you have issues with that, write abandonment type stories so you can rewrite the narrative so that you can deal with what has happened in that fashion. You cannot change the reality of what happened. You can only change how you perceive and react to what has happened. So if you work on narrative therapy, it can help you through bad things. I have been doing that for a couple of years now with my Inside Outside Razor's Edge and my cryptid setting. I have characters and stories where I have been walking through the streets at midnight, 1 o'clock, just crying like a baby because I had taken a rusty dagger and was grinding it into an open wound and just trying to make it hurt. The thing is, it's not just torturing myself for that. It's if you have an infection that's gotten deep, you need to periodically pierce the wound and drain it to get all the nasty stuff out so that you can actually heal. And that's what I do. I find something that hurts because there's infection in there. And I get that dagger and I drive it in there and I keep pushing until it stops hurting. And when it stops hurting, it starts healing. So I get all the nasty junk out. Now, what am I trying to heal with? Not all the time I know what the situation is. And that's one of these. Because this is I'm going to just read it because I've been thinking of it for a couple days and I just finished writing it today. So here we go. And then I'll talk about lighter stuff afterward. Hopefully, I am not going to cry. As stated, these are things that are tailor-made to make me cry. I cry when I read them and think about them because they are tailor-made to do that. Tailor-made to find out what will hurt and then hurt that area until I cry because it hurts so much. So if I cry while reading it, well, then it continues to work. Remember, this is about the solo RPG setting. I have no family or close friends to speak with, and on this ship I do not know anyone well enough to speak of this, but several of my more literal acquaintances swear by journaling, so here we are. I am on my way back. Oh, good God, I need to change my power thing. I haven't changed my power plan yet, so my screen just... I gotta fix that. I have no family or close friends to speak with, and on this ship I do not know anyone well enough to speak of this, but several of my more literate acquaintances swear by journaling, so here we are. I am on my way back to Lanloa, back to Noalthan. I had been told that the Ogal were just animals, to not be fooled by their shape, by their actions. They look roughly like people, but are a degenerating species, unable to be reasoned with, just animals to be scared away or simply slaughtered. I killed my fair share of them when out searching for goods in the ruins in the Ogranic around Nagrod. It was that morning when I looked out the back window and saw the Ogal in the back, in the garden, facing toward the forest, away from the house, hand up and pulling down a flower. I grabbed my sword and headed out. The Ogal heard me, I am sure, but in my haste I struck, shoving my sword into the Ogal's back. The blade pierced the creature's body, emerging from their belly. I yanked it free as they crumpled and was ready to swing at the fallen body before me, but the face looking up at me was not of snapping ferocity or ignorant savagery, but a face racked by pain and confusion. They were words that came spilling from his mouth, though in a language I could not understand, and a hand raised in a vain attempt to catch my blade. This was no animal, no beast like those I had struck down while hunting for treasure. I held him as he bled to death, speaking to me in a language I couldn't understand. At no point did he seem angry, at what I had done, and it wasn't long before the light of life left his eyes. I cannot live with myself and stay in Carthcog. I'm hoping by returning home to Nualthan, I can stop seeing his eyes, stop hearing his voice. If I still cannot sleep the night without being rightfully tortured, I shall likely enter the Willow Wood after sunset, before too much time has passed. And that's that. The Willow Wood, around the major city, well, it's not a major city, it's a smaller town around the major capital, but around Nualthan there is a place, the Willow Wood. It's perfectly safe during the day. You know, they even have people's houses right up against the edge of the forest. And as long as you're not in the forest at night, you're fine. It's just that during the night, that's when the giant wolf spiders come out. And while people aren't their preferred prey, you know, you'll likely be attacked, bitten, and dead before they realize you're not prey. And if you say, well, why would one quick attack, you know, get you? Well, remember those chelicerae with the fangs on the end, and when you have 2 9-inch long spikes going into your chest, you tend not to live through that. So yeah, he's planning on heading into that if that stuff doesn't stop. Thumbs up. Yay for Carthcog. Anyway, though, that's where that story came from. So hopefully you didn't think it sucked too much. I was also thinking on another level, I want to do reactions again real soon. But you know what? I can't with just the tablet, because I can't do video editing on the laptop. It just, editors crash. It will not do it. I have tried. It is frustrating. With this, I haven't been able to find an editor that does like overlaying video tracks so you can get picture in picture, which means I can't play the video I would be reacting to at all. It would just be me and nothing else. And that ain't gonna do it. So until I can get an actual computer that does stuff, I can't even do reactions. So that's great. I do have a GoFundMe. If you could check that out, that would be awesome. I'm trying to get up some money so I can get a computer that will play games and edit video, because right now I got a tablet and I got a laptop, and the laptop goes online and plays videos. So that's a good thing. And this here I can record videos on, but it's not very good at editing. So if you could check out the GoFundMe, that would be awesome. I also have a PayPal, so if you could check those out, that'd be awesome. So far, I've gotten $145 from 2 donations, and I have thanked those people in video. So that's very cool. Thumbs up. Past that, I am going to, it is 12:53, I am going to edit, render, upload. I need to call and make an appointment with my doctor again. We'll need to talk about my blood pressure. So that's joyous. Past that, not a ton that I really have to do. Tomorrow, I have an appointment with podiatry for my bone spurs, so that'll be good. I do have to call up and get another appointment made for number 1, well, they're both about this, my nerve compression. Number 1, with the people over in ortho, so I can find out what the heck I gotta do. And number 2, in physical therapy. The joys of ADHD and executive dysfunction. It is hard to call and make an appointment. It is hard to remember that I've got appointments. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. Remember, this is American Sign Language with ILY. Put it together, ILY, I love you. And I love you as people, as members of the human species, and that is a very good thing. So you take care, and I'll talk to you all later. Ooh, creaky chair ASMR.